Alright, let's dive into something that's been on my mind lately. The truth and tragedy of Moriah Wilson, Marina Zenovich's latest documentary. Now, if you've seen any of Zenovich's work, you know she's got this knack for taking stories we think we know and flipping them on their head. From Lance Armstrong to Roman Polanski, she's not afraid to challenge our perceptions. But here's the thing, this doc feels different. Personally, I think it's because the story of Moriah Wilson isn't one we've all been chewing on for years. It's fresh, it's tragic, and it's complicated. But does the film do it justice? That's where things get interesting. First off, let's talk about Moriah Wilson herself. This woman was a force, a rising star in the cycling world with a smile that could light up a room. Her murder in 2022 was sensationalized, no doubt. But what's striking is how quickly the narrative shifted away from her. I mean, the Lifetime movie about the case is literally called Yoga Teacher Killer, the Kaitlin Armstrong story.
Ouch.
So, kudos to Zenovich for trying to bring Moriah back to the center. But here's where I have to pause. Does the film succeed in doing that? In my opinion, it's a mixed bag. What makes this really interesting is how the documentary tries to balance two tones that just don't seem to fit together. On one hand, you've got this ultra-earnest tribute to Moriah, home videos, interviews with her family, friends gushing about her dedication. It's heartfelt, sure, but it's also kind of superficial. I mean, we hear a lot about how amazing she was, but what made her her? What drove her beyond just being a cycling juggernaut? From my perspective, the film doesn't dig deep enough into her passions, her struggles, or even the specifics of her sport. Gravel cycling?
Cool.
But what's that really like? What made her stand out? We're left with more questions than answers. Then there's the true crime angle, which feels almost tacked on. The murder investigation, the trial, the whole Kaitlin Armstrong saga. It's there, but it's not juicy. And I don't mean that in a morbid way. What I'm getting at is, if you're going to include the sensationalism, you've got to commit to it. Instead, it feels like Zenovich wants to strip away the tabloid drama, which is noble, but then why include it at all? It's like she's trying to have her cake and eat it too, and the result is a film that doesn't quite satisfy either side of the equation. One thing that immediately stands out is the tone of some of the interviews. Like, the cycling journalist Ian Dill? He's laughing while talking about a relationship that ended in murder. It's jarring. And don't even get me started on the segment where Moriah's dad reads from her diary. It's not creepy exactly, but it feels off. Like, where's the line between honoring someone's memory and invading their privacy? This raises a deeper question. How do we tell these stories responsibly? Especially when the people involved are still grieving. Now, let's talk about Colin Strickland. Here's a guy who's smack in the middle of this tragedy, and yet his role in the film is basically a shrug. Zenovich had one conversation with him, and he says nothing of substance. But what this really suggests is how much this event has affected him. He looks haggard, broken. It's a powerful moment, but it also feels like a missed opportunity. If you're going to include him, why not push harder for insight? Or, if he's not willing to talk, why include him at all? It's a detail I find fascinating, how much the film teases us with unanswered questions. If you take a step back and think about it, the core issue here is that the documentary doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. Is it a celebration of Moriah's life? A true crime investigation? A critique of how we consume these stories? It's all of these things, but none of them fully. And that's where it falls short. In my opinion, the most compelling documentaries have a clear thesis, a point they're driving toward. This one feels more like a collection of moments, some poignant, some awkward, but none of them adding up to a cohesive whole. What many people don't realize is how hard it is to tell a story like this without falling into cliches. Tragic death, love triangle, sensationalized media, it's all there. But Zenovich's strength has always been her ability to complicate these narratives. Here, though, it feels like she's holding back. Maybe it's because the story is still so raw, or maybe it's because there's no neat conclusion to be found. But the result is a film that captures sadness without really exploring it. So, where does that leave us? Personally, I think the truth and tragedy of Moriah Wilson is a missed opportunity. It's a sad story, no doubt, but it's also a superficial one. It doesn't give us enough of Moriah to truly understand her, and it doesn't dig deep enough into the circumstances of her death to provide real insight. What this really suggests is that sometimes, even the most tragic stories need more than just earnestness to resonate. They need depth, nuance, and a clear vision. And that's what's missing here. But hey, that's just my take. What do you think? Is it possible to tell a story like this without falling into the traps of hagiography or sensationalism? Or is that just the nature of the beast? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.